Okay, got it. I'll go for it.
Hallelujah. Yes, we are online.
Thank you very much. Hello, and a very, very good morning, people, to you people out there. My name is Phil Griggs. I work in hypnosis, psychotherapy. I also work as a neuro-motivational coach, and I also work with energy. And just to start off today's session, just to try and understand sometimes what energy is about and how we could use energy, perhaps use energy to better ourselves, to help our lives. And if we sometimes listen or feel the energy out there at the moment, for some of us, we may be able to do that very easily. And for others, it may take a little bit of time. And for others, we're so aware of it, we just adapt to it so easily. We could often say, can't we, that when we start a day, oh, what a lovely energy today. Yes, or sometimes we could say that people have got lovely energies about them. There's something, I don't know who that person is, but they have a lovely energy about them. So is there an energy that is within us that we exude and people connect with? So it goes beyond just the physical appearance of people, it goes to the energetic appearance of people. And that's something I'd like to work with you people today and really get to this point where we can maybe connect and understand, and maybe you want to share some conversations, by all means do it. When we listen out there to the energy today, I'm very sensitive to this, and people often call me an empath, so I feel things enormously. And when we think about this energy at the moment, sometimes we may feel we have not come to a halt, but maybe we've come into a bit of a freeze frame just for a moment. Like everything is, where am I going? Am I going forwards? Am I going backwards? What is this energy at the moment? And sometimes when we try to talk to other people about this, we often find that they may be in the same position too. For example, I'm meeting a lot of people at the moment who say to me they don't know where they're going or what they're doing, what their goals are, or what it is they're supposed to do. So it's an energy out there, and we respond to this. We look for signs out there to help guide us to where we're going to. And with that energy, sometimes if it's conflicting, confusing, or changing, sometimes it can unsettle us, just like this moment now. So we may feel here, what am I doing? And don't be surprised on many levels that we start to not necessarily look backwards, but we're being drawn backwards in some respects. For example, one of the reasons they say we may be drawn backwards is suddenly you're connecting with people you haven't spoken to for a very long time. They're from the past. That's what I mean by sometimes connecting to the past. Maybe an employer, maybe a trainer, maybe someone you haven't connected to, maybe just forgotten about, has reconnected with you. This is happening with me at the moment. And I'm thinking, wow, it's crazy, but this is the energy of the time. We'll suddenly find people are coming back into our lives for some reason or another. And maybe as well, on a positive of this, we can actually go backwards to work and complete things, or go back to complete things that maybe have been left unfinished for a little bit. So, for example, maybe there was a book you were writing, maybe there was a course that maybe you lost interest in, but now, the interest is coming back. So you go back to it. So this is what I mean by going back to things. Maybe there's been a disagreement with someone you had and you've left it. And now the energy is almost drawing you to go back to see if there's a way to resolve this. Maybe there's a relationship which went a little bit AWOL somewhere, maybe went wrong, and now we can go back to talk about this. And I think here with this energy, the way this energy is going to probably move over the next month or so is we'll get back to a stronger place. It's a bit like, and sometimes if people will explain to me what this is like, it's a bit like being the scout to the army. So the army is moving forwards, but the scout runs forwards to go and have a look what the territory is like. The territory can be our lives, the territory can be what we're doing, but you can't go forward from there because you have to come back to the army and tell them what it is you've seen. Maybe it's a beautiful sea, maybe it's a forest rich with fruits or something like this, for example, just making things up. And so the metaphor of this is we can run forwards, but maybe we have to come back to our main selves to think about what it is we want to really go and do. So the confusion is which is the scout, which is running ahead, saying, don't run too fast yet. Slow down a little bit, come back to yourself, which is the army, and see how this feels. Now, one of the things, and then after a while, we will find we'll start to turn and move forwards. Then we're going to find ourselves probably in a better place. And with that better place, that better time, we're probably going to be feeling stronger ourselves. Also with this, something interesting here may come up too, is how you're feeling inside. For example, here, as I was saying earlier, you meet people and they say, wow, who is that person there? They've got such an energy about them. They've got, what is it attracts you to go and want to have a conversation with that person? What is it you like? Something's there. And can we generate that ourselves? We can. We can. We have to do a little bit of work on ourselves, but we can generate that energy to bring out that positivity. I went through this. I went through this many, many years ago. I had a very difficult speech impediment where I couldn't communicate very well with people. I had a terrible stutter, which is what it's called. And so I couldn't form words properly. So I literally shut down. I went within myself, became very shy and reclusive, which a lot of people would say nowadays, hey, you're so different. You're completely opposite. Yes, I am, because I wanted to go within myself and find my energy. It's interesting when we talk like this, isn't it? To go find our energy, what this means, what this does. And when we find this, we're then in a very powerful place. We can generate something very positive. And what we can do, supposed to find this energy, is first of all, understand what it is you want to feel. So, for example, it may not be something that you want to go out there and say, hey, I want to go and be like such and such a person. No, that's their energy. I want to be like someone on TV. No, that's their energy. What is it that you really want to feel? Is it a calmness? Calmness can have a terrific energy appeal. Is it just about slowing down a bit? That can also have an energy appeal. That gives off a sense of confidence, that you're not always racing around and coming up to do too much. Just having a calmness and a confidence can have an appeal. Maybe you just want to feel you can connect better with people. Communication. So interesting, communication. Communication hangs on many levels. It's not just the words we use, it's also our body language. So one of the things sometimes is to use body language to communicate with people. I can give you an example. If I'm using nice words and I'm talking to you like this and I'm engaging with you, you probably find me non-threatening. You probably find me as quite easy to get on with, things like this. But if I start talking to you from the side and I'm not effectively communicating with you, I'm almost like protecting myself. I'm almost like bringing my head down into my body, like I want to protect myself. I don't want to, I feel awkward communicating. And so we can change this. And a fine example I had of this was working with a lady a few years ago, and she's happy for me to talk about this. Her name was Rose. And she said to me, she said that she blushes every time she walks into a room of people. So I asked her to give me some examples of one of the things here that she said is that as soon as she goes into a room, she has this awareness that everybody's looking at her and she cannot stop blushing, going red, feeling like, oh my goodness, look at me, I've got this color, and her body language would shrink down. She wants to just almost like, as she said, she wants to just curl up and just do something to get out of this. So I said, what do you do? She said she would run for the corner of a room and just hide there and just very gently just start to get herself to come back up into the room. And she would then slowly have more confidence as she's speaking to people. And yet this lady, when you speak to her on one-to-one, she's very confident. But when she's in a group, she just changes, she just feels very awkward. So I said, do you tell people about this? She said, absolutely not. But that was the mistake. And sometimes that's a mistake we make. We can have a fault in the way we communicate with people. And yet that could be the golden ticket you need to be able to communicate with people. For example, with Rose, I said to her, I'd just like to try something and just see how it goes. And she says, okay. I said, I want you next time when you go into a room, rather than shrinking your head down, let's practice some body language. So she put her shoulders so a bit stronger and she was set up more straight, and literally admit that you go red. You blush, you feel this very awkward. Or for some people could sweat a little bit, perhaps. I know sometimes people think, oh, that's very off-putting. There's worse things, I can tell you. There's worse things. But what she did, I said to her, I said, next time you go into a room, practice good body language. When you go into the room, just say, oh, look at me. Every time I come into a room of crowded people, I blush. I just look at me, look at my face. I said, humor it, lighten it up. And she did it. And I said, what happened? She said it was fantastic. I said, why was it fantastic? Because, guys, what do you think happened? She went into a room. She said to people, oh my goodness, look at me. I'm blushing every time I come into a room of people. I blush. So you've probably guessed it. You've probably guessed it, probably guessed what people did. They all said, come and sit next to me. Come and sit next to me. You're fine. Immediately, she was welcomed into the room, rather than the other way where she felt that people were looking at her, making her feel uncomfortable. She admitted that this weakness has now become her strength. We all have weaknesses. We all have them. It's how we can communicate with people that actually makes it more attractive. Yes, you could be small and maybe be intimidated by tall people. Maybe there's something else. I mean, you could just humor this completely. You could walk into a room of people, they're all tall and you're small and feel intimidated, and you literally go and stand on a chair. And tall people would immediately react and find this hilarious, not because they're laughing at you, they're laughing with you. That's a big difference. Literally saying here, I may be small, but I've still got a loud personality, a loud character, loud voice, still have ideas, still communicate with all of you, just because I'm small. But people often like it. It actually makes tall people think, oh God, I wish I wasn't so tall. Leave the tall people. Tall people here. Oh, look at my height. I'm so tall, and yet you people are so lovely down there. I had something to make me shrink. And actually, the smaller people would say, we don't want you to. Come and sit next to me. They love you for being human. They love you for being the way you are. So don't be afraid of being you. Maybe there's some what we consider as weaknesses that we have. Maybe there's something like this. And maybe there's something here that we could turn around and make different in some way. And if we could find that, then I think we're on our way to very good communication. Just to, if you hear the dogs out there, my dog's howling. They're communicating. But anyway, so I would say here too, with the communication, it's interesting with using body language as well. And so many tests have been done on this to see how large groups of people communicate and how they connect with one another. And one of the tests they did was they used the same words, exactly the same words. They just said them slightly differently and chose different ways of body language to communicate the words. So, for example, this man came into this room of loads of different people. By the way, he kept the same people. They weren't different. So they'd all see the same way, just done differently. And he came into the room and said, okay, this is a sales pitch. We are going to sell rice now to the Icelandic people. And what we're going to do, we're going to invite you, and you to come along. And what you're going to do is you're going to be one of the people who are going to help to get this strategy going. And this is the way you're going to do it. And if you follow us, this is good. So this particular chap's pointing. Another chap, the same chap, later on, different day, came in, said exactly the same thing. We're going to start selling ice now to the Icelandic people because maybe we can get things going there. We want you, and you to come along and do the particular types of work we want you to do. And it's going to work like this, it's going to work like that. And this is how we're going to do it. Okay, another day, they did exactly the same thing. They came in, they said, okay, today we're going to talk about the Icelandic people. We're going to be selling rice to them, and maybe there's people here who would like to take up the opportunities of working with them, to helping them, and maybe there's going to be some ways we can help out. And maybe we'd like you, maybe even be you, who'd like to work with this strategy to sell rice to Iceland. Iceland being right up near the North Pole, that they don't make rice out there. Anyway, so they asked them, and I gather that your answers would be probably the same as mine. How did you feel with each presentation? And they said, well, the one they didn't like was the one they're being pointed at. They said, why? They said, why was this? Because they felt like they were being treated like idiots. It's interesting, isn't it? This is wow. We'll come back to this in just a second. The way we use our body language to communicate with people. And then the other one said, what do they think about the one who was doing this? They said they didn't like that either because they felt they were being pushed. Ah, right. So there's a pointy one where you're being ordered to, and this one where you're being pushed. I said, what about the guy who was just showing his hands like this, just being quite open in that way? They said, loved it. We took in every word going. His body language made us feel very comfortable. He wasn't pushing, ordering. He was almost inviting by the body language, not by the words, by the body language. So practice good body language. There's a lot of research on YouTube and things like this to practice good body language and how we can better come across to people. For example, when you're doing an interview, and say, for example, there are 3 people in a room for an interview, When one person asks you a question, look at all three of them when you give your response. Okay, they could ask you a question. What experience have you had in working with industrial machinery? And you could answer by all three people. Well, actually, I've had quite a lot. I worked with stamping, which is working with metal tools to put prints on things. And I also worked with using the machines to press into labels for all types of engineering to be able to put plaques on things so that have an engineering code. And then, but I'm always going around looking at the people. And when you talk to people, even in an interview, although we consider it as a formal setting, there's still a nice part you need to show your warmth, your warmth. So sometimes do smile and smile with your eyes. Smile with your eyes, almost like you're creating a sense of likability. When you smile with your eyes, people, because they quite like this. They actually enjoy the interview with you. In fact, they probably even forget the words you're saying, but because your body language was good. Or maybe they do remember the word you're saying because your body language was good and because they felt that you were including all of them and that you could respond so well to them. So when you're talking to people, just notice here how this looks. Another thing to do, say, for example, this is an interesting one. Often people, when they're talking, if the interviewer does something, okay, they're talking about the job. Okay, so the shift a day, there's 5 shifts per week. And during the 5 shifts per week, we're going to work between 9 and 5. Now, just notice, as they were talking, they scratched their face. Sometimes a good thing to go and do as you talk to them is to mirror this. Don't do it immediately and don't make a big show of it and don't do it exactly. It could be something that you just go, I really like doing shifts. It's nice. And I feel good by this, and working 9 to 5 Fridays is excellent. You've just copied them, but not in the same way to feel like, he's just copied me. You've just done something called mirroring. Sometimes a great way of doing this as well, just notice people's heads. If they like you, often their head will be slightly tilted. They'll like you. I'll really like you. They may be tilted the other way. Doesn't matter, but they really like you. Sometimes people who are just, you'll know people who are losing interest because they just seem to sit a little bit further back and maybe they start looking around at different things. Somehow we've got to change this. And the way we could do this perhaps is changing your tone. So maybe it's something you just lift up and say, and immediately they're going, yes, of course, yes. You just increase the tone, don't have to shout, but you've just changed the tone. They connect with the tone. They like this. So these are some ideas just to give you along the way to improving body language with things and how to work with you. If you get the great opportunity of going for an interview, perhaps, or you got to do a talk or presentation, here's a good one. Let's do a talk or presentation. You've got to stand in front of a class, a group, or an audience, perhaps. And maybe we've never done this before. Maybe we find this slightly daunting. For me, I was terrified of this when I was younger. Now, I thoroughly enjoy it. I find it quite riveting. I find it quite very engaging. I find it enjoyable to the point that this is what I want to do. So if we're talking to people for the very first time, one of the things I'd like you to do is to imagine you have a very attractive energy about you. They're all going to be looking at you. They're all going to be finding you very confident, very happy, very engaging. So for example, here, you may have a favorite color. Now we're going to take this a bit further because we talked about this last week. So when we have a color, and I'd just like to think of a color that makes you feel very engaging, communicative. Great word, isn't it? Communicative. Yeah. And when we engage with people, some of the things we could actually do when we're engaging with people is think of that color that makes that feel good. So when you think of that color, that really makes you feel like, oh yes, that's a color I can associate with engaging with people and makes things feel good. So we're doing this, you're going to go and do a talk. As you're doing this, just in front of your nose, just imagine a beautiful pocket of air where you're engaging with people. That's right, a beautiful one. And as you're engaging with this energy, just breathe it in. And as it breathes in, just let it fill your lungs. So it's air, it's beautiful, it's colorful, and it's lovely. Okay? So you really get that feeling about it. It's a nice, nice energy. And what we're also going to do, as you breathe this in, I'd like you to think as well as a lovely smell. Smell you really like. Maybe it's a flower. Maybe it's a type of food type you like, or maybe it's something out in the fresh air in the countryside or wherever it is. Maybe it's a smell of a lovely dinner, your favorite dinner. Maybe it's lasagna or curry or something like this. I'll probably make you quite hungry right now. But, or just think it's something, maybe there's a perfume that you wear or just something that smells nice, like a perfume, you also enjoy and quite like. So breathe in that lovely color and also breathe in that smell that makes you feel, oh, I love that. And when you like something, your body changes. It does. No matter what you say, no matter how we think, I think that can't do that, surely. Yes, it does. Our body changes beautifully. And what a body adapts to and changes to is that we can feel this energy and just respond to it beautifully. And often we change our state. So this state we were in changes. So it becomes better, becomes stronger. And I think for us guys here, you may find that this is something that's going to make you feel is going to be helpful to you. Just changing the state. So before you go and do a talk about something, another thing to go and do is sometimes to do something where you pace away from the area, perhaps. You pace backwards and forwards and you build up the energy. Maybe there's a belief you have, a belief, whether it's a spiritual, religious, cognitive, behavioral belief, whatever this is. And just think about this. Then you're walking back and forwards, you're generating this energy to go and do this talk. Or if you can't pace, move up and down, just imagine this energy building up inside you, like it's giving you so much energy that when you go and deliver your talk, we have to stand up in front of people, a presentation, talk to be able to show people who you are, what you're like. That will come across. That will come across beautifully. And I think you'll thoroughly enjoy it. I think it'll make you feel you've done the right things. And make you feel that afterwards, especially. I remember this with one guy who had to go and do a talk on an instrument he used for therapy. And this is an instrument. It was to do with aura energy and aura energy going around the body. And the Russians use this because it's very good for detecting areas in the body to help the body heal, and also detect the areas which are weak. And literally what you have to do, you have to put this hand on this machine, sends electricity pulse through your hands, and then they measure it on a graph and see where the weak points are, where the strong points are. So they did this, and he had to go and do a talk on it in front of a lot of people, but he was absolutely petrified. What I mean petrified, he was literally sweating. How much he looked forward to it, but then on the day, he was absolutely scared, crazy. So I was speaking with him and say, come on, let's go and think of colours. Let's go and think of colours. So we've got a nice green. It was a lovely green he chose. Your colours, whatever colour you want to choose. And as he was choosing this colour, he really felt that what he was doing was engaging. He said, right, get this. Now think of a nice smell. And actually, I think he went for his wife's roses because she loves roses. So I said, right, it's a green, nice roses. Just feel that energy there, just every now and then, just become aware as you're doing your talk, this nice smell, the nice roses, being beautiful, and a lovely energy. He said, right, I'll give this a go. His talk was for 20 minutes. Just 20 minutes. Which 20 minutes for a lot of people could seem like a very long time. For him, though, it was completely the opposite. It was not enough time. No, it was the opposite. Because once he started talking, vroom, he was off. He was raging away, talking about this amazing product he's got, which I think it's called a kaleidoscope, something like this. I forget the real name, the technical name of it. And after 45 minutes, we had to go and drag him off the stage because other people needed to talk. He just found his confidence. So isn't it interesting? We think we're not confident people, but then when we do start talking, we do start engaging with people, and we find something, a tool, we could use this, a bit like the tool in a toolbox. We could find a tool of some kind that we can use in our minds to change the state of feeling that we're not confident into great confidence. So maybe this is something just to help you guys with this. Maybe it's a color, maybe it's sound, maybe it's something else there. Maybe it's a belief system. But often a good thing to go and do is pace yourself, go move up and down, get the energy up in yourself. Just feel that rise in yourself, that coming up in this power. So hopefully that works out there. That works out there for you quite a lot. And also what sometimes can help us too with this is, in fact, just to ask you at the moment, guys, has anybody got any questions? Anybody like to ask anything? If not, I'll carry on talking. All right, I'll carry on talking until someone gives me a question. Okay. Now, one of just also here, how we could find confidence in ourselves is often to mix or be around confident people. If you're around people who always put you down, just notice that. Just notice the people around you. Are they confident people? Or do they rely on you, but then that brings your confidence down, perhaps? Maybe. There's something else here that I think is also, quite important, is that as we associate ourselves with people, often the people you have as friends mirror a lot what's about you. You'll find probably some people are very intuitive, responsive to you in a very nice way. But at the same point, they could be responsive to you, but do they make sense to you? I'm not saying you've got to change all your friends now, but in order to get to be successful, sometimes we need to mix with successful people. To be happy, mix with happy people. You could say be rich, mix with people who are rich. those people will probably help you to get where they're going to. You never know with this. But one thing I'd say here is pretty sure to do is don't do nothing. Doing nothing just keeps you exactly where you are, and we don't grow. Doing nothing remains us in the place that we've been and always been for a very long time. So sometimes we can find the energy within ourselves to go and change this by discovering and being curious of how other people are successful or do well. You don't have to do the same as them, but you can see something about them that makes them feel great. And as well here, if you get a lot of negative feedback from people, just ask, why is it that you're getting negative feedback? Is it true? Is it true? I've often worked with people who said to me, especially in the past, why have you come see me? He said, because I'm not successful and I just can't reach any kind of success. I say, tell me about this. What's it all about? He says, my work, I feel like I've got a lot of talents to me, but I just don't believe in myself. So I said, okay, well, where's this low belief system come from? Well, when I was growing up, my family, my mother said to me, I'll never do any good. My teachers said to me, I'll never do any good. So I guess I just believed I'm going to be no good. Oh, so this is about other people saying to you, you're not going to be successful. How many times do we hear this? How many times do we hear when we judge things that person's not going to be successful? And yet, one of two things happen. That person just doesn't become successful, or it empowers them. Empowers them completely. So one of the ways I would say here with empowering yourself is, and I asked this guy here, I said, so all this stuff you were told, all this stuff that was being put this way, what could you, I asked this guy here, I said, so your mum putting you down like that, I said, it's positive of parenting, is it? Oh no, we never had a good relationship. So you never had a good relationship and she's telling you that you're not so good. Now, can I ask you a question? And he said, what's that? And I said, do you believe her? And he said, I never thought about that. I said, okay, so she's told you you're no good. You're not, so you're not going to be successful. Do you agree with her? Well, I used to agree with her, but is she right? No, she's not right. And immediately he changed his body language. Immediately he wanted to change himself. He immediately came to life. No, she's wrong. She's wrong. She's not right. Wow. I said to him, look at the body change you have just gone through in order to see this amazing change in you. He said, yes, I didn't realize. I never thought of it like this. So often we need sometimes people to reflect back to us. People who are not going to judge us. There's no point if someone around you, you're going to ask for their opinion, but they always put you down. What's the point of going to them? Sometimes you don't always want to go to the people who say you're fantastic. Because they'll always just tell you you're fantastic. Sometimes we need to have the people around us who are impartial to us, who are separate to us, to ask them a little bit of advice. And those people we can ask advice to are the ones who probably tell you the real truth. So this guy, I didn't tell him the truth. He found it. He found it. I said, let's come and look at your teachers. How was school? He said, I hated it. I said, okay. So sometimes here, you've actually got to agree sometimes. I know for some people, they've never had an opportunity of an education. And for those people, I deeply feel for you. And some people went to education, it wasn't a good experience. And some people it was. But this guy said here, no, I really didn't get on with my teachers. So I said, okay, so you didn't get on with your teachers. They said you're not going to be successful. were they right? He went, no. It was quite funny. It was quite funny. I said, whoa. I said, so we just suddenly had this change of state. He said, yes, I didn't realize. I didn't realize how I was. Now, isn't this interesting? It is interesting how we can change so quickly, so fast, from being someone who just says here, I'm never going to be successful, nor everyone tells me I'm rubbish, and it's just not going to be any good. And yet, within seconds, this man was, right, I'm ready. Okay, so then we went through a plan about what it is he's going to do, how he's going to do it. Now he's successful. Now he's happy. He's changed his life completely. His awareness is that old life has just gone. This new life is now in, where he's geared up because he now believes in himself, because he realized that for all the people he was growing up with, and they were telling him, it's rubbish, you're not going to be any good at anything, why even bother? You might as well just give in. Why do that? And then suddenly this turns around into something amazing, to someone who recognizes and realizes we can be successful. In history, we can look at the different people who become successful. Rihanna, the music singer, yeah. Oh, what a lucky lady. She lives a fantastic lifestyle, brilliant lifestyle. You think here she had it made. No, she did not. All right, she's got a gift, she can sing, but we've all got gifts. No matter what you say, we've all got gifts. It depends how we want to use them. Another one here, another part here, which I think is also a big part, is sometimes here is to understand, realize where people have come from. Rihanna, for example, she was homeless. That's right, she was homeless. You think a woman like that, now in a multi-million-dollar lifestyle, and she was homeless? Yes, she was. James Bond, Daniel Craig. He, very successful actor, probably one of the most successful actors for England, and probably one of the most successful actors in Hollywood. And where did he come from? He was homeless on the streets, just like Rihanna was on the streets. What is it that changes in those people to suddenly change their lives? Just like that guy I was working with. He believed that everybody was telling him what to do, was what they were telling him was right, that he was rubbish and no good. These people are on the streets, famous people. Suddenly they become famous, become the most successful people in Hollywood. Their lives turn around, singers, Rihanna being one of the biggest singers going. Loads of people have been homeless. Loads of people have been in a state which has brought their lives to so much desperation. Now, look at them. What can you do? What can you do that's going to change your life and going to make you go from whatever place you are now to a place of success? And what is your success? What would it look like? We don't need to have the vision of the car, the big house. No, that comes as a result of your success. What is it that is your success? What is it you're going to do? And most importantly, for you, what is it you're going to do? Then you'll fly. You'll be amazing. Most of all, you'll be so proud of yourself. I think it's just about finished. Is that okay? Hello, people. Awesome. Thank you. Marvelous. Thank you very, very much. Okay. And I hope you people have a great day. There's so much to learn. Yes, there is so much to learn. And most importantly, I think as much as there's so much to learn, sometimes that puts people off, doesn't it? When you say there's so much to learn. Oh God, how much? How much have I got to learn? Well, really, it's just if you fire up on yourself, fire up your heart, fire up your passion about what you want to go and do. Life is a learning experience, yes. Life is a learning and it's a living experience. When you live your life, learning is all part of it. So when you really want to go and do something that empowers your life, we won't even think about the tasks we have to do, however big they are. We'll be excited about them. They don't become tasks, they become stepping stones to your success. They're the parts that are going to help you to reinforce you to become super powerful in what you're doing. I wish you all a fabulous day. And yes, go and do something that makes you feel wow. And you probably will be wow. Because you're wow already. Take care, guys. Have a lovely, lovely day. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great Thursday too. Thank you very much for your messages there, Mila, and just send them all now. Thank you very much. Yes, see you next week, and more chat, more banter, and more good stuff. Okay, take care, guys. See you very, very soon.